Hello, everybody. It is Sharon Sheldon here from Content Sparks, along with Sarah Arrow from Online Visibility Academy and Andrea Vall from Facebook Advertising Secrets and many other things. Really special training that Andrea is going to do for us today with lots of questions. It's all going to help you with using Facebook ads to primarily around using it to sell your courses, but obviously it can be used for other things as well. And Andrea's been keeping track of all the different changes that are constantly going on. And I'm just going to give a very quick intro because I don't want to waste any of that valuable time. And then I will pass it over to you, Andrea. So Andrea is a social media consultant and speaker and is the co-author of Facebook Marketing All-in-One for Dummies. She speaks and trains all over the world and has appeared in top lists of entrepreneur.com and inc.com. And she's also a stand-up comedian. So that I definitely want to hear about also. So really, I'm not going to talk anymore until I have questions. I'll just keep track. And if you guys have any questions, post them in the comments below. We'll be keeping an eye out for those. And no matter when you join, you can keep adding your questions and take it away, Andrea.
Awesome. I'm super excited. Thank you so much for inviting me to come on and talk about my favorite subject, Facebook ads. It's kind of weird. I know I get really excited about Facebook ads because there's a lot of ways that Facebook ads can actually go wrong. And I'm sure people have known that and have seen that themselves. I get a lot of people say, well, I've tried Facebook ads and it just didn't work for me. It's oftentimes because we're just not setting them up correctly and we're not using all the features that Facebook has to improve your results. So I'm going to go ahead and share my presentation. I made
I'll come out.
Yeah, I just, let me just double check. We got it there.
Okay, I think I have to add it to the stream.
Oh, yeah.
Shall I make it the full screen?
Whatever works.
I
don't mind. I think we can just see us. That's totally fine. Or not see us. That's totally fine.
Oh, well, up to you. How about we focus on this and you let me know when you want to.
That sounds good because actually I do. Then my eyes are going all over the place and I'm like getting distracted with things. So here's what we're going to talk about today. And actually, I'm throwing in Instagram ads as a bonus. So we talked about how to use Facebook ads, but because Facebook and Instagram use the same platform, everything we're talking about applies to both Facebook and Instagram ads. So I definitely find that sometimes Instagram ads are performing better than Facebook, and you just have to kind of do some of that testing. So here's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to really dive into what's happening now with Facebook and Instagram because during this whole crisis, a lot of people are asking, should I even be promoting right now? Should I even be running any ads or should I just wait? And I'll talk about that. And then we'll talk about how to approach your Facebook and Instagram ads funnel. And then some mistakes that prevent positive return on investment, ROI, there that I see over and over and over. And then I'll just touch on some targeting and retargeting tactics to improve your results. So I told Sharon that I do have a little bit of background about me, and I'm just going to share a little bit about my story. This was me about 10 years ago, and I had been laid off from my job. I was scared. I was broke. I was drunk, and I was growing out my facial hair. So I did what anyone in that situation would do is I put on a wig. I started a blog as Grandma Mary's social media edutainer. I worked my butt off and I got a book deal. And so this is me today. I'm happy, I'm healthy, and I've had a good waxing. And with the help of Facebook ads, I now have time to hand dry my laundry on the beach. So that is a little bit true. That is that actually, it's kind of an interesting time for me approaching this crisis. I mean, obviously, my business was born out of the 2008 recession. And certainly that was a crisis as well, nowhere near what we're seeing right now, obviously. But I do feel like creativity and innovation happens during a crisis. I was laid off from my job, and I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I was in a lucky enough situation. My husband, I had a severance package and things like that. And I had 2 young children at home, and I knew that I did not want to go back to work. I knew that I just wanted to stay home with them. So I had to be kind of creative and innovative about what type of business I was going to start. And I ended up starting an in-home wine tasting business, which was a great business with toddlers at home because I got to drink on the job. No. But that's kind of where I learned social media, is promoting that business. And as I was promoting that business, I was actually discovering Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn, the only 4 social sites that were around back then. And as I was doing that, people were saying, "Hey, can you teach me how to do what you're doing? I'd love to learn more." And so I ended up starting I did improv comedy. So I used one of my characters, Grandma Mary, to start my blog. So I blogged with a wig on and started my YouTube channel, and that kind of took off. And that's kind of what led to more visibility, and the fact that I was making social media connections led to the book deal with Amy Porterfield and Phyllis Kerr. And so that was an amazing kind of experience that, just was about using social media to grow your visibility, grow your connections. And I really had no idea, no big intention of making this a full-time job, full-time business for myself. I thought, well, I'll just kind of do this little part-time thing because I've got kids at home. But now it's grown to the point where I get to speak and train all over the world, which is so amazing. And you just never know what's possible. And I grew in a time that was super tight financially, and I think positioned myself to really just fuel that growth beyond that recession time. So if anyone's feeling a little scared or a little panicky about what's happening, obviously we all are. I am. I want to kind of share that we're going to get through this, and this is actually a great time if you have the energy. I also understand energy levels are different for everybody right now too, but there's some small things you can do to grow and grow your visibility, and you can be selling. I'm seeing people selling, and my clients are selling their courses. So it's still working out there. So I just wanted to kind of give that little, hopefully, message of hope, because I do feel like there's possibility here in this crisis.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks.
Yeah. So Facebook ads today, obviously, like a lot of people are feeling that it's maybe not a good time, but I'm actually seeing a lot of declining prices here. And these are some screenshots of my clients that are getting amazing results, half price leads, super cheap link clicks. You can see in the upper right there, one of my clients has a monthly, or every 2 weeks he has a webinar, and we were pretty steady at $1.82, $1.92, in that range. And we kind of took a little break while this was all blowing up and did the webinar again then after that. And less than 50% on that. I can't do math right now, but it's I was thinking those $1.82 leads were pretty good. And then we got the, 81-cent leads. So, it's really a good time to grow your list and to grow your visibility, and just to kind of be out there. There's more people online right now. This was actually from the New York Times article. They showed the huge increase in Facebook traffic, Facebook presence there. Of course, Netflix and YouTube are also up quite a bit, but people are just online. And this was from Commission Junction, talked about the actions and clicks. And so actions are like actually people purchasing and things like that, or it could be opt-ins. I think they also kind of lump that into that. But the education online space is huge right now. So online courses, online training, people have bandwidth for this training now, and they do have money. It's not, we're not, there's lots of people who are just have more time and have money to spend.
Yep.
Facebook is still the place to be. And actually kind of an interesting thing, Facebook, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, Instagram, those are in the top 6. They're all owned by Facebook. So we're all, we're getting some of those benefits of all of those networks combined when we're advertising there. And then Instagram, something that's happening with them is they're really growing. Stories are a growing place to be. You can advertise in Instagram stories, in the news feed, and Instagram's kind of estimated to be 30% of Facebook ad revenue by the end of 2020. Now, this was before this whole crisis came about, so this may, it may change. These numbers may change, but projections are that Instagram's growing. Now, I don't always see. Sometimes I see better performance on Facebook, but you kind of want to test and monitor which one's better for you. And actually, one of my own ads, I get much better performance on an Instagram feed than Facebook, which is kind of interesting to me too. So, yeah. So now let's talk about the funnel hacking. So there's Grandma Mary. This is at South by Southwest. Oh, that's a crazy time right there. That was many years ago, but yeah. I love that picture so much. So I just kind of crack myself up with my own slides. So so let's talk about kind of normally how things are working with sending traffic to a website and how things can be optimized better. Now, I know people may have done various things that I'm going to show you, but typically what I'm finding is that people are just sending traffic to a website, and that can be fine. And certain times like that's preferred if you're running like maybe retargeting traffic, a small audience, maybe just sending traffic to the website is a good option for that. But typically that doesn't perform as well as optimizing around the Facebook pixel in a different way. So Facebook pixel is just this little bit of code you add to your site. I don't know if we can ask a question on how many people have the Facebook pixel installed. I'd be interested to know.
I'll post it in there, and people just say, do you have the pixel installed?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll add that question. So
yeah, good. I'd love to hear that, and then you can chime in with that, because it's definitely one of the most important things to get on your site so that you can optimize a little bit better. And so when you optimize with the Facebook pixel, what's happening is you're still sending traffic to your website, but you're optimizing around getting the lead. And so this is an example of an Instagram ad where the traffic then goes to the website where they can opt in, and then they get to the thank you page, but it's optimized around the lead. And when that happens, Facebook learns from the pixel what the types of people that are opting in to your offer, and tries to show your ad to those types of people first. So we all know Facebook's tracking everything we do. It's creepy place, Facebook, but we want to use it to our advantage. So it's tracking the type of people who are opting in, and then able to kind of see, what other people amongst the targeting you have set, what types of people would be the type of people who like to opt into things, who like to buy things, and let's try and get you the best results you can. So Facebook is actually on our side with this. They want us to get good results because they want us to keep spending our money with them. So they're hoping that we are getting as good results as possible, and we keep our budget going. So the Facebook pixel is just this code, and you have the code on your landing page, but then you also have an extra bit of code on your thank you page that you optimize around to try and get people all the way through to that final thank you page. Now, you can also run what's called a lead generation ad, and a lead generation ad happens all on Facebook itself. So that is where you get a pop-up form. You may have seen that, and you can just fill in your data there. You can just fill in your information, and then you have that information, and it's really easy to use for the user. You can also redirect after they give you their information to your website so that they then get to a thank you page as well. But what the benefit of a lead generation form is that it's easy, but sometimes it's almost a little bit too easy. Sometimes people talk about not getting as high quality leads with lead generation ads. And I found that, it depends. It does depend. I tend to go more with sending people to my website to opt in, mostly because I'm getting a little bit more pixel benefit from that. I'm able to use kind of that pixel data in a few more ways. So, and lead generation form, you also have to have some sort of way to connect that or download the leads into your CRM, into your email system. And you can automate that, but you may also have to have like kind of an extra step if you don't pay for that automation tool. So those are kind of some of the main types of lead, like when I'm doing gathering leads for my courses, I'm doing typically a conversion ad, possibly a lead generation ad. But I also find that it helps to vary the type of content you promote, because sometimes someone might like a webinar. Other times they might like an ebook. Sometimes there's some sort of upgrade sequence you might have. And you sometimes have to test the different types of content you promote. So this is an example of a free guide, but then it led to an option to buy the courses like sort of automatically. And so you can test different funnels in that way. And the other thing I like to do is use Facebook Lives or Facebook video to kind of gather an audience that I can use for retargeting through the video views. So Facebook Live helps brand you and helps brand your business, and also gets in front of people easier sometimes. Facebook likes video, so they're kind of pushing that a little bit more organically. But you can also then use these video audiences of people who've watched, 10 seconds of your video or 50% of your video to create a bigger retargeting audience to use for your sales. So when it comes to the sale, you may have a longer kind of funnel sequence for this. And so you might have the ad and you're sending people to the sales page for that. They might add the product to the cart, and then there might be the thank you page. So typically I'm optimizing around the purchase to try and get people all the way through the funnel, but you're tracking where they fall out of the funnel as well. So you're tracking the fact that they got to the add to cart, because you can see that with the pixel data, and then they got to the thank you page. You can actually calculate exactly how much it cost you per purchase or per lead or per add to cart. All that stuff is easily calculated. So then you can say, hey, this was a profitable ad and this wasn't. So for example, you can break down and say, hey, this ad that had this photo was giving me $1.15 per lead, and the other one was $2.37 per lead. I'm going to stop that one because it's not giving me as good bang for the buck there. And now I'm going to really maximize my ad budget to the cheapest lead cost, cheapest purchase costs, all those kinds of things to get better results and actually sell profitably. So I want to just share this case study because I love this case study from a client of mine. We started advertising about a year ago, and he had a course and didn't really have a great, all he was doing was sending traffic to buy his course. And he didn't really have a good, designer, a good website designer that we could use to create a lead magnet, all this stuff. So there's a lot of things people get hung up on. They're like, oh my gosh, I've got to invest all this money on a brand new website, or, lots of fancy stuff. And so I said, no, just do a half-hour webinar, use Zoom, and then sell your course at the end. And so we created this ad and went to this registration page. Actually, Zoom has a better registration page now, but this was one of his early registration pages. It's pretty blank, pretty blah. But we were getting pretty good lead costs early on. And as the Facebook pixel learned more and learned more, we were able to get his lead costs down even further. And so they opted in for the course. And basically, after just a few webinars, we got him 8x ROI after narrowing down to that best performer. So what that means is he was putting $1 into Facebook ads and earning $8. And so now he's making like $3,000 a week from his webinars. And he's just running the same webinar, just every other week. But he's making $8,000 or $3,000 a week from his course just by improving the results and using Facebook ads as a lead generation tool to grow his list and then sell his course on that webinar. So it's just really cool what is possible.
So the webinar is free.
Yeah.
And then he's selling the course afterwards at the end of the webinar.
Yeah. And so all he needed, and he's upgraded kind of some of the things he's been doing since then. He uses a different webinar system. But, Zoom webinar, I think it's like $40 a month or something, or I think it's like $40 additional plus so there's some pretty cheap systems out there that you can use. You don't have to invest a ton of money that have a decent enough landing page. You can use Facebook ads to track your leads and improve your lead cost. And then, he's running the webinar, giving lots of great value on the webinar. And then at the end, offering his course and kind of, having people buy it from the webinar, basically following up with them in email.
Right.
So
he's not doing different versions of the webinar.
No, it's the same webinar every single time. Every single time it's the same webinar. Yeah. And what we're doing with this webinar is that we're only advertising the webinar to a cold audience every time, because we're removing anyone who is opted into as a lead from his audience advertising. So we're saying we're advertising to this targeted audience, but we're saying everyone who has these interests or is in this lookalike audience, for example, we'll talk about lookalike audiences a little bit, but minus anyone who's already opted in for a lead. So we're always growing his webinar audience with a cold audience that gets to know him on the webinar. Here's his offer, and then buys the course. And he's then able to offer other things to all the people on his list who've maybe heard his webinar before, or, he can offer a different type of product. If they didn't want to buy that product, maybe they can buy something else. Maybe it's consulting or whatever. So, yeah.
That's terrific.
Yeah. So let's talk about some mistakes. And this is me after trying to cut my own hair here during the coronavirus.
That's a new course to sell right there.
Right. Yeah, I know. My son said he was going to try and cut his own hair today. I'm like, okay, good luck with that. I guess we've got a while before you see anybody, but so one of the biggest mistakes I see people make is really only using boosted posts. And this was an example of a client this was actually an event that they were running, and they were running boosted posts, and they were getting very cheap video views. They were getting very cheap, pretty cheap link clicks, although not always. But they weren't optimizing around a purchase. And so they weren't getting results, and they weren't really seeing sales from their ads. And so we came in and worked on making sure all the pixels were set up correctly. And then we optimized around purchases. And actually, this was very early on. We ended up selling 500 tickets to his event with not a huge budget. And it was like a $500 per ticket event at $30 per purchase. So, it's when you optimize your ads correctly, you'll get much better results. So it's really great. So mistake number two is not targeting and testing properly. Here's another thing I see people doing is that they have they run one type of ad. They run one image and maybe one target audience, or maybe they group all their keywords into one ad. They say anything they can ever think of for a keyword goes into one ad. And that's not the best way to run ads. You definitely need to test which keyword is going to work best for you. So you have to split those out because Facebook's not going to tell you, and you're not going to be able to get better results unless you're testing more individually and systematically. And so what this client was doing is they had a monthly webinar, and they were only running one type of targeting and just a couple different images. Actually, it was a couple different images. And so we came up with a test plan, said, hey, okay, let's do some cold, some retargeting, some, and break these out, test some different keywords do some lookalike audiences and things like that. And we were able to get their costs down. And actually, I was able to even get their costs down further for their webinar. And they did the same type of thing, then sold their it was a membership. They sold to their, they kind of have their course more as a monthly membership type of thing. So yeah, it's just, when you test and really break your keywords out and try different things, you can get your results cost way down. So really great.
So that was a live webinar that they were doing. Yeah, and the other was a recorded one?
No, actually both of these happen to be live webinars where they do the same webinar. The one client does it every other week. This client does it every month. And it's the same webinar that they are running every single month.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. Great. Yeah. And this one is a B2B. So B2B can be a little bit harder. They kind of had this agile, I don't even know exactly all the terms, but it's like agile team something, Scrum something. So really the key really is in the testing. And so that's what I've seen. This is actually from one of the members of the Facebook Advertising Secrets course. They were running, they were actually doing real estate ads, and really with the testing, they had spent $4,000 not seeing results. Now they're getting leads in all the time with their real estate ads that they're running. So it's just a system of testing. And so here's kind of what that system looks like. And this is sort of simplified. It. There might be different things that you do, and job titles might not be like appropriate for your particular business or your particular audience. It can be appropriate for B2B. So this is kind of an example of how I would set up a split test to say, let's test these different audiences and let's test these different images below so that we can really kind of narrow down what's going to work. So this is kind of the system I put together for really coming up with how to reduce your costs. So lookalike audiences, I don't have a ton of time to go into all what lookalike audiences are, but basically what that is you kind of give Facebook some information like website visitors or your email subscribers and say, okay, go out and find 2 million people who are like this audience. And so that can be a great way to expand your audience when you may not know the right keywords to even choose for your targeting. So it can be a good thing to test for sure. And Facebook's doing a better job with wider audiences. So that's the kind of cool thing too, is that wider audiences like lookalike 2 million size audiences can work really well. Now that I'm saying 2 million, and that is country dependent. So for example, Sarah in the UK, that audience, a lookalike audience for her is going to be a smaller, because it's taking a country size and kind of basing it on how many people live there. So it depends a little bit on your country. But in the US, when you have a lookalike audience, it's typically 2 million people for the smallest lookalike audience you can create.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you're testing these different, you're grouping your keywords more systematically, so you can really narrow down and say, hey, we got better results. And the reason is it's because of this audience, or it's because of this particular ad is getting better results. And you're keeping like the text in the ads the same. You're not creating, 6 totally different ads underneath there. You're kind of systematically testing through that.
And somebody asked, how long was the testing period?
Yeah, so usually it can depend a little bit on your budget, but usually you can get pretty good information after somewhere between 3 and 5 days. So you can just it depends a little bit on the cost per action that someone's taking. So for example, if you're doing a real estate lead, that might cost $25 for that real estate lead, but the payoff is a lot higher. And so you have to make sure that your results are kind of significant with that. So you would have to, it's not like this one got 1 lead and this one got 0, and we can therefore definitely conclude that this, so there does have to, it depends a little bit on the budget you're spending during that time. But usually for opt-ins, for things like ebooks or webinars, those can usually have anywhere between, $1 to $10 lead costs for probably most of the people who are doing online courses in your area. I have, some leads are just more expensive if they're B2B, or if it's a lawyer, or if it's a, financial planner, or if it's something that's a more kind of higher end and kind of niche there. So.
Right. Okay. So, I mean, I know budget is a whole separate thing.
Yeah.
And the significance stuff, but one person also asked here, because you're talking about those couple case studies where the webinars were live webinars, not recorded ones. She asked, how long a period did the client run the ads prior to the webinar? Because you said you test for a few days.
Right.
You have to get them in.
Yeah, that's a good question, because I have clients who I think typically running a webinar or running webinar ads for about a week is good. I have one client who runs webinar ads successfully for almost a month before she does the webinar, which to me feels long. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not signing up for anything a month from now. It's like, I'll forget about that. But yeah, so it depends, and you can test, but usually for webinar ads, I'm only running them about a week out. And that's long enough time. So although, if it's the first time you're running ads, there might be a little bit of ramp up time for testing, just to kind of see which audience or which ad might be a little bit better. So then maybe like 10 to 12 days to have a little bit of a testing period. And then you can ramp up the ones that are on or that are doing better, ramp those budgets up a little bit to try and maximize that. Because it's hard to do a lot of tweaking for, a short time frame. But even this really applies to either a recorded webinar or a live webinar. Really, it's like, it can be, I think it does have to be somewhat time sensitive. There has to be like a date. And, I think then it's a little bit easier than more of an open-ended training. So hopefully that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. So mistake number 3 is not using the pixel correctly or at all. And really, this is a big issue, because you really need the pixel both for tracking and for retargeting, and also for lookalike audiences too. Because you can create really great lookalike audiences of go out and find anyone who's purchased this course, or go out and find 2 million people of people who are like my people who've watched my videos or watched a good amount of our content, although that's not really pixel traffic. But so you want to make sure that your data is only as good as how well you set it up. So you have to make sure that you've got the pixel installed and the lead pixel correctly installed only on that thank you page. And also make sure that you're diving down into the reports to see what's happening and optimizing around your results. So this is an example of Facebook sometimes optimizes things wrong. And so you kind of want to watch what's going on at each level, because at the ad level, it was spending more of the budget in a ad that wasn't performing as well. So you can see $76 went to this ad that was getting a $9.58 registration, where if I shut that off, then I can make sure and try and redirect that budget to the ads that are performing a little better. So you always have to make sure you're kind of watching your results and watching the right numbers so that you're making the best decisions with the data you're getting. So hopefully that makes sense, but yeah.
Yeah, so the budget is on the campaign, but you have to track the ads,
right,
so that you turn off the ones that don't work,
yeah,
or that aren't working as well, right?
Right, right, exactly. And
that answers something.
and you need to just make sure that you're watching the right stats too, to say, hey, the only thing I really care about is what cost per lead I'm getting or what cost per purchase I'm getting.
Right.
So,
got it.
So targeting and retargeting can be kind of overwhelming to a lot of people, and I totally understand that. This is, I definitely feel overwhelmed having to cook dinner every night. So, so I don't know if anyone else is tired of cooking yet. I know I am.
That's what takeout and frozen meals are for.
Yes. So I'm just going to touch a little bit on this because and then we'll get to some questions here. So targeting happens at the detailed targeting level. That's where you're putting in these keywords. You can target the fans of other pages. If they're large enough, you can target by interest and sometimes behaviors, and also job titles. So you're just typing in there to find out what's available to target. Now, not all fan pages are available to target, so it's just hit and miss. So you're kind of, grouping similar keywords together. Oftentimes, this example of Mari Smith, that's the fans of Mari Smith or the fans of the National Speakers Bureau is who I would be targeting with that. And then I might also look at targeting the fans of Social Media Examiner, or I could even target the employees of Social Media Examiner. So you just need to make sure that you know kind of how you're targeting and grouping similar keywords together. Now, I wouldn't group Mari Smith and National Speakers Bureau together. Those two are kind of different audiences, most likely. But I might, if I think they might both be potential people, I might target them separately and create different ads for those people. And then retargeting is definitely where you want to do your selling. So you're going to save money by just targeting your sales ads to only your warm market. So only people who've been to your website or watched your videos or are fans of yours or your email list, for example. And that's a much smaller group. And that means that you can spend less money to reach those people. So now you're saving money on your sales ads and spending more of your money in the lead generation part of your campaign. So let's just do a little quick recap, and then I'm going to just share a little bit about Facebook advertising secrets, and then we'll definitely get to some questions. So just to recap, you're going to set up your ads funnel, build or use Facebook ads to build your list with lead magnets or webinars, split test your ads to find your best performing ads and audiences, and then you're going to retarget your sales ads to your warm audience. So that's the system there.
Got it.
Yeah. And I just want to share a little bit about Facebook advertising secrets, just to kind of, if anyone wants to go further, this is really a great course for getting everything lined up, getting your whole test plan put together. And I specialize in online courses. So, but I do have like strategy for all different types of businesses. So there are a lot of people in the course who do kind of have online courses and talk about online courses as well. But I also have examples for realtors, authors, online, like I said, online courses, workshops, events, and a lot of these things overlap too. And also B2B and B2C, because I know courses could apply to either one of those too. So it's really the step one is really the strategy of how you approach your ad campaigns. And then in step 2 of the course, we go into the tactics and really dive into how to set your pixel up, how to split test your ads, how to really dive into those reports, because that's a challenging piece of Facebook ads, and how we kind of understand which ads are doing really well, how we do troubleshooting. We dive deep into custom audiences and lookalike audiences, and then Instagram ads, and then the business manager, of course. And I also give feedback on landing pages too for people. Awesome. And then the step number 3 is optional, and that's for agency. People who are interested in running their ads for clients as an agency. I don't think anyone in here would fit into that. But if you did want to kind of have a little side business of helping other people run their ads, the agency model might be a good fit for that. But it's about how to run ads for clients and how to charge, how to price your services, all that stuff. And the real secret weapon of the whole course is our Facebook group. And what I'm doing in there right now is doing 8 weeks of special live training. Every week I'm going in there live. That's something that's new. It's kind of a special bonus during this time to help people really get the most out of the content. And I give people feedback. We're answering questions. And you get 1 year of access to the whole course, the group, and then we've got that extra special bonus going right now with live training for 8 weeks, where you can really dive much deeper. And so for the basic level, it's $9.97, and we also extended some longer payment plans for this time. So if that's a better fit for you, so
the $9.97 that actually includes the 8 weeks of the live training and the support. That's phenomenal.
I know. It's kind of crazy. And I've actually been, a lot of people have been telling me I need to raise this price. And I think I probably will raise the price. But right now, I just wanted to make it super affordable and give people maximum value. And, a year of access to the course, you can come in and ask questions. I'm in there all the time answering questions. There's tons of great, smart people who have, can give feedback too. And a lot of times what we're doing is saying, hey, this is going wrong. What should I do next? And we're giving really super specific advice on how to make the most out of your ads. And so, yeah. And
I'm actually going to put us back on screen just so that you can.
Yeah.
No, that's phenomenal. I think I did a Facebook ads course once where I think I must have spent 3 times the amount.
Yeah, I know. I had
the extra personal stuff.
I know. Actually, my coach told me, she's like, you are insane, but okay, do what you want to do. But I just want to and I didn't put up all the testimonials on there. They're all on the sales page too, if you want to read the results people are getting. It's just really great to see such nice results that people have gotten from this. And the link, I don't know if you have the link to add in there, but that's,
I can throw that up there. I also put it in the description because I know Sarah's got a different link.
Okay. Yeah.
I have.
Yeah.
So, but I'll put mine up just briefly.
Yeah.
Just so that, and then Sarah, you didn't give me yours, so you're going to have to do that as well. But my one is contentsparks.com/ it's a little longer than it should be, FB/ads/-secrets, but I'll mail that out to people too and post it underneath. Okay.
Good. Yeah.
You want to talk questions?
Yeah, let's do questions. We can do
Okay. You can't see them, can you?
No, I can, but why don't you?
Okay, I'll just pull them up.
That'd be
Okay, let me go back up because there were some we went through some as we went through,
right.
but there was one or two. You answered about the webinar. The webinar was live for
Yeah.
both of them, not recorded. Do you ever have people who do them as recorded, like an evergreen?
So evergreen, what works best for evergreen is to have still have it as a thing where people can either access it right away or like on a timed thing. So there are certain sites certain sites that do that. I think Webinarjam is one, and there are other, I forget what other.
Is it EverWebinar?
EverWebinar, yeah, that does as well. And so I've done that with one of my clients where she was running, it was basically a recorded webinar, and it was either access it now or sign up for 1 o'clock today or something like that. It was, and she was doing it through, I think it was Webinarjam at that time. And that worked well because it still felt like there was a time people were doing it. And then what she did was walk people through. She did more, it was kind of a group coaching that she did that was really high end. It was $5,000 per thing, but she would then get people to watch the webinar, and then she would have them sign up for a one-on-one call to kind of talk them through their specific thing, and then they would maybe sign up for the kind of group coaching. So that's an example, but I do feel like there can be a little bit of having a little bit of urgency helps. And then the other thing I've found is that sometimes people prefer like an ebook compared to a webinar. Some people just are like, I don't want to sit through this. I can read this much faster. And so that's kind of where I was talking about, like, vary your content. I definitely see that ebooks do convert a little bit cheaper than a webinar, but webinars can be really good because people get to know you a little bit. They hear your voice. And so there's some benefit to both for sure. You can have cheaper leads with ebooks, but maybe a little bit more better conversion with like a webinar where you're making the offer very specifically.
Yeah, and if you're selling a course, people want to know who it is that they're buying this course from.
Right.
Wow. Yeah. There was another question. I want to go back and find it. So you talked about the testing period,
right.
Which really, you also said that depends partly on the budget and the significance. So how do you figure out what your budget should be, and when do you know when the results are significant enough?
Yeah, it's hard to say. So like usually what I tell people is start out with a budget of $50 possibly per audience, and maybe you have 1 or 2 images underneath there or something like that. In a perfect world, you would test everything separately, which is crazy. That's too expensive. So you have to group these things into kind of smaller groups to kind of limit the number of variables, hopefully a little bit. But I say start out with $50, run it for 5 days. So you're just spending $10 a day, see where you get. Because if you don't know your baseline at all, then it's hard to say kind of where you might end up. So sometimes I've had, and sometimes I've had clients who we just aren't sure. We're not sure where we're going to land with the cost. I think it's going to be one thing and ends up being much better sometimes, or vice versa. So we have to just start with some baselines so that we can work with it. So I usually say $50 per audience. So if say you have $100 you want to spend on Facebook ads, I would divide that into 2 audiences and maybe 2 different images with that, 2 or 3 perhaps max. And now just run those ads for 5 days. At the end of the 5 days, see where you get, optimize it around the, getting the conversion actually, so that you're trying to maximize that. And then you've got more information, and hopefully you'll have more information about which ad did better. Now, if you don't get any conversions, that sometimes can happen with $50. It's not a huge budget. then it's time to really kind of dive in. Like, are you getting conversions already with your email audience? Like, if you send that out, are you getting anyone to opt in? Is it just it's hard to know sometimes, is this a total dud of an offer? Is it not exciting? Is it the landing page? Usually I like to see at least some success with the offer before we run ad traffic to it, so but there's also chicken and the egg sometimes with that too. So yeah.
So you're optimizing for the ultimate conversion of the purchase, even though the ad is for the lead magnet.
Yeah, no. So if it is for a lead magnet, if you are saying, and that's where you have to make sure you kind of know what your flow is. So if it's for the lead magnet, you're always optimizing for the lead, and you have to have the lead pixel on that thank you page. You could have something like complete registration. Again, that's the setup thing too, to make sure your ad's set up correctly. You've got to make sure that you're telling Facebook, hey, this is the thank you page, and it has the lead pixel on there, which means they've already given me their email address when they get here, and now you can register it as a lead. And so you're always going to be optimizing for the lead for lead magnet. Right. And then there are times where if you're optimizing for a purchase in a sales sequence where you've got purchase pixel on the thank you page, Facebook sometimes takes a little bit of learning time to learn what types of people purchase. So sometimes it can be better to say, hey, let's just send traffic there to start with and see if we can get traffic there cheaply to buy. And if you're retargeting, hopefully that's warm traffic. So again, there's a lot of nuances to some of this. So yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think I was trying to get a question that Cindy.
The sun is like starting to shine in on me.
Oh, I think that was the question that Cindy had asked. Are you saying that it'd be a good idea to optimize ad for purchase, even though the copy of that would be asking for a lead magnet? You're optimizing for the lead magnet, and then you'd be optimizing the retargeting ad for the purchase, wouldn't you?
Yeah. So you're having two separate ads. So the ad talking about the lead magnet is going to be sending them to opt into the lead magnet, right? So that's going to be one ad. And then when it comes time to sell the course, you have a whole different ad that's talking about buying the course. And then that's optimized for the purchase to try and get them to actually buy the course.
Because with the webinar, if you have to be doing the exact same webinar to know what the effect is. Every time you change a variable,
right? Exactly.
Your test is messed up.
Yeah.
If you change something else.
Yes, and that is true. Yes,
and that's the tricky bit.
It is.
I'm just looking. Alvin Hall had a question. Do you offer a very basic as how to start creating a mini course? I'm not sure whether that question was for me or for you.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So
my ads course doesn't really cover how to start a course because it's but there's definitely lots of good ways to do it, for sure. It's so,
or just take some of ours and use ours because we sell a license so that you don't have to create one yourself.
Right.
So if you're interested in our free thing, because we actually have a free challenge where we give people a mini course.
Oh, nice.
That they can do. It's on time management, but that's why we give people the course stuff.
Oh,
so I wasn't sure whether
that
was for. So here's another question with Beverly. What do you say to businesses who are hesitant in placing ads on social media right now?
Right. It's a really challenging time. And, I've only had one client who's actually stopped their ads, and that's mostly because she was running an event and now that's all up in the air. So, all of my other clients are running ads. A lot of times what we've done is pivoted the message just a hair. So we've, I had one client that sold a bunch. She's had better sales this sales cycle. She opens different courses throughout the year. So she has kind of this course she opens now and then also the fall. Then she has another course she opens in January and then in May. So she kind of staggers her course offerings. So she had better sales she just finished last week, better sales last week from her event than she had when she ran it in the fall No, was it the fall? Yeah, when was the fall? And she had fewer high ticket sales, more in the medium and kind of lower priced downsell that she had. So, so people are buying, and what it really takes is just a pivot of a message a little bit, and not as hard sell. It's about serving. It's about not coming across as trying to take advantage of this time. It's coming across as it's a tough time now. I understand. And here's how I want to help. And here's what I want to offer. And I definitely think that it's not a good thing to pull back all social posts, to pull back all marketing, because it's going to hurt us in the downstream of this. We have to continue to have that presence, and people are still buying. So, we have a duty to our business to keep that going as well. So I think it just takes a little bit of sensitive messaging, not as hard sell. I think a hard sell comes across as really tone deaf, and just being like, kind of, here's how I want to help and come from this place of service.
Yeah. And, people are looking for all this stuff right now.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I have people who are messaging me saying, I have much more time now. What course do you recommend for this or that? And so they're asking for it, Yeah,
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Graham said, I have no list, just putting together first course. Budget is limited with no revenue yet. So what approach would you recommend for that?
Right. So I would say with a limited budget, I would have an ebook, because it's a cheaper lead magnet with that. And if you have, yeah. So I would have an ebook, and just start testing out the waters with that, with really low budget in your test. So maybe even just do like $5 a day, for 5 days to see where you get with that. And it may be about, if there's no, it might be about just sending traffic there. No, I think really still optimized for the lead. It's really, yeah, with an ebook, definitely just optimized for the lead. So, yeah, I would start with that. And I would also maybe start doing videos. So videos can help you build up your audience really quickly. And they could be just short little videos about your topic. And you could even just do them as Facebook Lives that you then boost the live and send people to the ebook to go get it. I still often find that a video ad doesn't convert as well as a single image ad. There's a lot of people. Yeah. A lot of people talk about how great video ads are, and they can be okay. I just find, I don't know. I think people get distracted with watching the video. There's some benefits to video, and I find, with my clients, I use video more in retargeting, because then they're like, oh, there's the person I know. And, yeah.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. And actually, Kevin just asking it, can you talk a little about length, music, audio? What's the all around? So first you're saying with the lead, they don't work necessarily as well, but in the retargeting.
Yeah. And I think for sure it's about testing too, because, although, yeah, every time I've tested video versus image, it's almost always been image that works better. So, but video ads can give you other benefits. Video ads give you that audience that grows quicker, and allows you to kind of add that retargeting audience with your other audiences, so you can make that audience bigger. And it also helps build your brand for sure. And I think that I've heard this expression in several ways, but in terms of length, 2 minutes I kind of shoot for 2 to 5 minutes max. Some people are even saying shorter than that sometimes, but I have one of my mentors says a video can never be too long. It can only be too boring. So.
Okay.
And actually kind of something interesting with video ads. this is actually good for us, is that there's been studies that highly produced video ads, or more kind of casual video ads, even with a phone, are converting better than a highly produced video ad.
Kind of
So
answers Kevin's question.
yeah,
People on the video or pick stock video.
Yeah. So, and this was kind of an e-commerce example. They did, a friend of mine did this whole test where it was super casual, like them with the phone doing, doing the demo. It was like super kind of gritty, but it looked more like native content. And they also did some kind of fun little GIF videos. And that converted better than their expensive video that they paid a videographer to put in music and transitions and all kinds of stuff like that. So yeah.
Okay, good to know. Well, that we can do.
Yeah. Right.
Stuff.
I know.
You said, what are you considering high ticket sales versus low ticket?
Yeah, usually I would say anything like 2,000 and above usually needs a little bit more consultation for a sale, a little bit longer ramp up time, a little bit more messaging around that. It could also be like a longer payment plan. So I'm hearing that from others as well, is that the higher ticket things aren't selling quite as well as lower ticket. Even if people have money, sometimes they're just feeling like a little uncertain about it. So I think this could be a good time to position, and do your lower price things less than 2,000.
Yeah, well, high ticket for some people is different from high ticket.
Exactly.
That
is true. And it depends on the market. So like, a knitting course, sometimes, and I've had some people be like, what, $97? I'm like, oh my goodness,
And you're going to get 10 weeks of personal handheld. Right.
So yeah.
Okay. There was something else. So Ryan was just asking if there's going to be a replay. Ryan, you can see this afterwards. The guy whose internet is cutting in and out. It's okay, Ryan. You can see it because I'm simulcasting this on YouTube also, so you can see it there. Yeah. So let me see if we missed anything else. Just scrolling back through. This is kind of related. Cindy said, are you finding people in your group still able to sell higher priced courses?
Yeah. It's definitely, I'm definitely seeing that. And it's just a little different. And so I think it just can be, and I definitely also am recommending people don't do like heavy discount. I mean, a discount is okay, but like, I think some of the other things you can do for courses are just adding more value in, like just, I'm adding in the 8 weeks of live sessions during this time. So, think about how you can add value versus discounting, or maybe even adjusting. Like one of the things that one of my clients did, she, for the first time, offered a DIY version where they took out any of the live training to offer it to people who just wanted to do just the course only type of stuff. So
yeah, exactly. Yep. And Kevin said, great info. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah, I've seen people doing that too. Like there's usually, say, people who are doing coaching now doing the online course as well as kind of a downsell, and then selling the coaching later as well, or some of the DIY stuff as well.
Yeah.
Oh, there's one I missed. There we go. All right. Do I run a conversion ad for lead magnet?
Yes, absolutely. So you're doing a conversion ad. So the options when you're looking at what type of ad to run, there's traffic, lead generation, and conversion are the ones that I'm usually focusing on. So traffic is just like sending cheap link clicks as cheaply as possible. But the better one to optimize around is the conversion optimized around the lead, as long as you have your lead pixel set up correctly on your thank you page, then Facebook can optimize in that way. The other option that you'll see there is called a lead generation ad, and that's the one that pops up and it happens all on Facebook. But I think if you've already got your lead magnet set up on your website, And all you need to do is put that pixel in. And then I prefer the conversion ad and then optimize around that lead.
Right. Okay. That's good. I think that's all. If anybody else has questions, please do post them because we'll keep looking out. I'm just looking to see if there's anything else. But for now, is there anything else, any like particular things for beginners that we should look out for? The best way to just get started?
Yeah. So beginners, really, it's about just starting to do a little bit of testing, just to say, let me start understanding my own baseline and how I can, understand my audience better so I can choose the right keywords moving forward and just keep improving your results in little incremental ways. So maybe you only have, like, when I first started my business, I only had $200 a month that I budgeted for expenses, and so if that's the case, maybe you've got $100 this month and you run your ad $5 a day and test something different for $5 a day to kind of, extend that out kind of thing. And at the end of the month, you have more information about what audience does better for you. And hopefully you've made some sales and you're starting to grow. And then you can build on that and keep, investing maybe a little bit more into growing your list, because as we've all heard lots of times, and I'm a huge believer in this, is the money is in the list. And it's about building that property that you own by using Facebook ads to kind of take them off of Facebook and into a property you own that then you can leverage in different ways. So it's super important to use that to grow your list. So that's what I would suggest for sure.
Oh yeah, I'm all about the list.
Yeah.
Do not rely on social media. Get them there onto your list.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah, so it's all about starting small.
Yeah.
And the defining your audience. So the picking out who you're going to target. See, that's another thing that I found very challenging when I was trying to do Facebook ads is actually being able to narrow down who to target. So you had said the 3 different types.
Yeah. Yeah. And the course really goes into, because that's not necessarily a fit for everybody, but the course really goes into how do I choose what to test and what makes sense to test? How do I do research on what's available in Facebook and what makes the most sense? And so, if people are struggling with that type of design, that's what the course really goes into, is how to design and test your best ads so that you're profitably. I'm all about making this profitable for people. And so that's why I've kind of come up with the system after 8-9 years of running Facebook ads for clients, is that I think it's just a powerful system to make sure that we are actually making money at the end of the day and growing.
Yeah. And I like your approach. Very straightforward, very step-by-step.
Yeah.
And personally, I would never do Facebook ads without somebody guiding me through it, because you can't, even on a very small budget, why waste that budget if you don't know what you're doing?
Yeah.
And it changes all the time too.
And unfortunately, one of the big reasons I started my course is that Facebook gives you terrible advice. It really does. It frustrates me to no end. In the material they have in their help section, they often are giving you advice that is benefiting them, not the end user. And they do want to, they do want your ads optimized, and they do want you to be making money, but they also have their own agenda. And that's why my course kind of addresses what are the true best practices with Facebook ads, because they'll tell you some things that will waste your money, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, you get those. I get those notices all the time. You can reach more people if you boost this post. Do I really want to do that?
I know.
Okay. Oh, there is one more question. This is going to be it, I promise. And then Sarah, if you want to come back on. And should I direct my leads to Messenger, chatbot, or email for first-time list building?
Yeah. So chatbots are different, and I have a section in the course around chatbots. It's that's a little bit more involved in terms of if it fits in with the way you bring people into your marketing. I prefer and have seen better results with getting people onto an email list. Chatbots, after, like, it can be kind of fun. I've done like chatbots for quizzes and chatbots for trying to do list building chatbots. But I often find that people aren't quite yet used to it and sometimes get angry that you're messaging them. They're like, stop it, get out of here, and it's just not as mainstream. It's like when you get that solicited text, and chatbots talk about how, we have 100% open rate compared to email that has low open rate. Well, it's not always a welcome open rate. And there are good places for chatbots. I have to say, I do think that there's a time and a place, but I think in my opinion, it's a little bit more advanced for a more advanced funnel than a beginner. And I feel like it's more important to draw the people to your email list.
Okay, definitely. Yeah. And I just found out that Sarah, we lost for some reason, but she's back. You have to turn your microphone on.
I've been down there the whole time.
I don't know why you got booted out. I think it's because we were sharing screen and there were two of us and maybe it can't handle 3 people all at the same time. Oh, one more, I promise. And then we're going to do final goodbyes. Grant, is 5 days the optimal length of time to run the ads?
I think that 5 days is a good length for testing. Certainly I have clients where we've been running the same ad for months and they're still continuing to perform. So you have to watch where the performance drop off is. And I go into that as well in the course to really kind of say, when is it time? When is the ad fatigue too high on this? When do we see that decline where we say, okay, it's time for creative refresh or whatever it might be. But you can run ads for a long period of time if they're continuing to bring in leads at the cost you like. So in terms of testing, five days you can get some pretty decent information usually with a 5-day test. And again, it kind of depends on significance and the cost per opt-in and stuff like that. But usually you can kind of get some good indicators on how well that ad is doing.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. I think that was it. This was really, really helpful.
Yeah. And I encourage, if anyone wants to go deeper with Facebook ads and use Facebook ads to make money for their courses, I definitely would encourage you to join our group. We're starting the 8 weeks of live in there, as well as all the content and the year access to the course and the group. So it's a great opportunity.
You're starting that right now? When does the 8 weeks?
Yeah, the 8 weeks start. It actually started last week, but it's 8 weeks also. So that's kind of why I was like, okay, let's make this available to people who want some extra attention with getting their ads up and running in a profitable way.
So you get access to the Facebook group for a whole year and the course for a whole year, right?
Yes.
Because some people may not be ready to start.
Right. Not ready to jump in
this week.
Yeah, that's totally fine. But you'll get access to everything for a whole year.
Excellent. All right. Sarah, you have anything you wanted to say?
Lots of questions. And they just went. I was just thinking about the 5 days actually and thinking, is that a Monday to Friday 5 days? Or is that a Thursday to Monday or a Thursday to Tuesday if I can't count?
Yeah, I do often see a dip in performance on the weekends. Not always, but I think it does help to run them. And now it's kind of like all over the place, right? I do think that it can depend a little bit on the market. If you have a market where people aren't accessing Facebook at work, then you might want to make sure it gets run over a weekend. But I do find that people do step back a little bit from surfing on the weekend. So I have a client where we definitely don't start his ads until Monday because we know the weekend is the slower part. And then, so.
Well, it'd be interesting to see whether that changes over the next few months.
I know. Yeah, I
You know?
haven't.
I mean, what's the weekend? We walk in one
Right.
park versus another park on the weekend, and that's it.
Right. Right. I have no idea what day it is right now. No.
Oh,
good.
God. Anything else,
All right.
Sarah? You're good?
I'm good.
This was great. Thank you for staying on for so long, too, with all the questions and
so much
stuff.
fun.
And I will
Yep.
post the link below here for the course, because I really feel strongly that if you want to do Facebook ads properly, you need guidance on it.
Yeah.
You need someone who's staying up to date on absolutely everything and has been tracking and knows what works and what doesn't work. So for
definitely.
anyone that's interested in using Facebook ads to sell their course, I highly recommend Andrea's course. So I just wanted to get that out there as well.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Especially while you can get all that personal attention, because that's priceless right there.
Yeah. It's been great. We're going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, I guess I'm going to sign off, and we'll keep looking out for comments and stuff. And, everybody stay safe. Andrea, stay safe out there in Colorado.
Yeah.
And thanks again for coming on and talking to us.
Yeah. Thank you.
So take care, everybody. Bye now.